All right, another astrology video. This one is on the sun in the sign of Virgo. The sign of Virgo is a mutable earth sign ruled by the planet Mercury, the trickster planet, um, also known as Hermes, Loki, or Thoth. This is the same entity cross culturally, it doesn't really matter. So Gemini is we already did the sign of sun in the sign of Gemini. The sign of Gemini is also ruled by Mercury. So how are these two planets, or how are these two signs rather, different when the sun goes into them? Okay, so firstly, the sign of Gemini is about communication. It's about sales. It's about philosophy and experimenting with new ideas. Virgo is not necessarily as much about that. It's still about those things to some degree, but it's really about facts. It's about information. So you have this abstract planet, Mercury, very ethereal, very mental. Mercury is your logic and your mind and your ability to speak and your ability to use words to get what you want. That's why Mercury is also the god of magic in most cultures. Their Mercury deity. Their writing gods and their magic gods are basically the same. So, Virgo. Virgo is about information. It's about natural laws and scientific mechanics and filtering information to find out what's real in reality and what's not. So you get the abstract planet in the earth sign, ruling the earth sign. So when people have their sun, which is, again, like I've said in all my previous videos on sun, the sun is your ego, sense of identity, purpose, mission in society, self-expression, and how others see you in the world. All these things. It is the light that shines through your soul, to use like sort of corny new age speak. And then when you put the sun, your ego, in the sign of Virgo, which is about distilling facts and information, making sure that this information is good, it's factual, and your information holds up in reality. You get a person who is typically some sort of engineer or scientist. This person finds a lot of comfort in knowing as much as they can. They're lifelong learners typically. They might have some problems with communication, but it's because they're sifting through all the ideas in their head, trying to make sure that they're right before they say them. These people tend to be sort of slow talkers. They tend to not care very much about, like, their own like self-image. Their self-image and their creativity and all that kind of stuff is sort of takes a backseat because they need to know what's real. They need to know what's true and what's factual. And in order to feel okay in this life, they're constantly second guessing and questioning themselves, and they feel a need to know and understand these things that are driving them kind of crazy. They need to understand. They have this deep need to be able to manipulate the world around them using their information. And when the sun is here, it kind of becomes rooted in that need for information. And their self-esteem is rooted in what they know. So they might be dressed like, just normally, like in slacks or like a t-shirt or something, not particularly fancy, and they see somebody like driving in a really nice car with the sound blaring and everything. They've got lights going underneath it, like the lights that people put underneath their car. It's got spinning rims, whatever, and they look at that person and they're like, that person's stupid. Like, there's all this information out here, and they're this dumbass trying to like impress some girl who doesn't even know anything. So these people, the way they justify their self-image is through their intelligence, through the information they know. And it's very important for these people to, especially in the later degrees of Virgo, it's very important for these people to not become like these know-it-alls who don't care about their self-image, and to focus that intense mind on their own self so that they can actually become more acceptable, more pleasing, more likable. Because these people can be a little bit annoying, and they can be kind of know-it-alls at sometimes. But if they're not, if they're personable, particularly in the middle degrees of Virgo, they can be very personable. They can be very friendly because that part is ruled by the moon. But we'll get into these co-rulerships later. But yeah, the Virgo people, they take pride in what they know. They take pride in their routine and their job and the things that get them through the day. And they are also, because they know so much, they're also very healthy. They tend to have very good nutrition. The flip side of this is that if they're not uh, healthy or they don't take care of their nutrition, they can get trapped in obsessive sort of like addictive cycles in many ways. And this can be an addiction to drugs, and this can be an addiction to fast food. If these people don't take care of their health, it can get very out of line very quickly, because basically their energy, it needs to be focused, it needs to have a good routine. And if these people get lost along the way toward controlling their schedule, controlling their routine, controlling their diet, understanding all the ins and outs of what they do throughout the day, then and getting into drugs, these people can be real bad at that because they have this obsessive tendency to rationalize their own beliefs and their own values, even though they might not necessarily be good values for them. So pay very close attention to that. If you're a Virgo and you're watching this and your life doesn't feel very organized, that's because it's your job to organize this, not anybody else's. Um, but I would say that's probably a minority issue for Virgo people, and it depends on the house placement too that we'll get into later. Um, but in general, this is a sign, the sun sign, about information, facts, knowledge, and manipulating reality using that fact, those real that real information, that real logic, the stuff that actually makes the world, makes new technology, and makes the world work in the way that it currently does in our technological age. So yeah, that's my video on Sun in Virgo.